So I'm excited to welcome Jackie Fenton here today with me. And she has offered to join me here in continuing the series of interviews that I've been doing with entrepreneurs and how they're responding to the COVID-19 situation and how they're adapting their business, and most of all, how they're being able to remain optimistic so that they can come out stronger on the other end of this. So Jackie, welcome, and just give us a little bit of an introduction to who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Vicki. Yeah. So I'm Jackie. I am a doctor of physical therapy, and I own a yoga studio here in the heart of Silicon Valley in California. And if you aren't familiar with Silicon Valley, I didn't grow up here, so I had no idea where it was. But it's about 45 minutes south of San Francisco. And if you're not familiar with California, that's not close to LA at all. Actually, it's about like 6 hours north of there.
Okay.
So I own a yoga studio here, and we've definitely been impacted by what's going on with the virus right now, because I'm a brick and mortar space, and we ended up deciding to go virtually pretty much in a matter of, and get online virtually in about 6 hours in my business, because it was a pretty quick decision. We went, in my area, we went into shelter in place, meaning that like you can only go out for your essentials or go out for walks during the day on March 17th. And we decided to go virtual on March 13th. I had
A couple days ahead of the actual shelter in place order.
yeah, totally. And we had some students that gave us some pushback on it, but I felt it was my duty as a healthcare provider to, see what's going on with public health. And I felt that in our space is very small, that it would have been really difficult for us to do social distancing in a way that was impactful, like, because we could fit 30 people in our room, but it's really hard. You're basically mat to mat, so
Sure.
it just wasn't really a situation where it seemed like a healthy decision to have like sweaty bodies that close together with like a virus that is spreading so quickly.
That's so
Yeah,
contagious. Yeah.
yeah.
So what
uh,
did that look like for you? What emotions was there when you're thinking about these decisions that you have to make? And of course, at this time when you made the decision to close, you didn't have to make that decision yet. But what was going through your mind?
yeah. So I was feeling that Thursday night going into that Friday, I actually didn't sleep at all. I was feeling very anxious because I was like, am I creating like a public problem? Are we spreading the virus even more within our studio? Um, I'm well aware that like the medical community doesn't have the equipment that they need in the hospitals, and I don't want to contribute to making it an even worse problem, because we do have, probably about like 90 students come through our studio a day. So that's like a lot of
Wow.
people. So and I didn't know their situations with who they have with their family at home, like who's there and where are we spreading it to. So I was very anxious that Thursday night. And then what kind of hit the nail on the head for me is we found out a friend of ours might have possibly had the virus. We found out that she didn't, but we have been in contact with them, and so I was like, well, we have to close, because if I was in contact with someone and I'm at the studio a lot, then I could be spreading it to other people, and that's just kind of a scary situation to be in. So I was definitely very anxious about it, but I have kind of, I think, just with like yoga and meditation as a regular part of my practice, I'm able to kind of table anxiety and make make important decisions, and know, and kind of, because I've been in business for 5 years now, I think it's given me the experience to trust my gut, really.
That's
And
awesome.
so, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I can say like when I first started my business, there were some things that came up that I just like really just was like, oh, I'm not going to make a decision, which is actually making a decision, because I'm not making a decision.
Okay.
Um, and so then things would kind of fester and not be super great then. So just with the experience of like running a business for a while and having some other moments come up before this, I knew that action was really the key to getting ahead of what was coming our way. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like you took the time to really be centered in yourself and know that you were doing the right thing for yourself and others to close the space. And so how long did it take you, or what did you decide to do then? What happened next? How were
Yeah.
you able to stay in connection with your clients?
Yeah. So what happened next basically was I sent out a series of emails to tell them that we would be trialing something that Friday evening to determine if we were going to close or not. And I let them know that we were going to do like a Zoom call like this essentially, and we would be live that evening. I made that decision probably around 3 p.m. I have somebody on my staff that's like my right hand person, and so her and I were kind of going back and forth about the best way to handle it. And luckily my husband is so supportive, so he was also kind of helping us figure out the logistics of doing this, because we were going to be doing this in my home, and in California, like, prices are crazy high here, so we live in a very small 2-bedroom apartment with my son who's 15 months old. So we were trying to figure out how to make it work so that I could teach yoga at home in a space. And so we just decided we were going to do it, and we did the virtual class that evening, and said, okay, the students, we have our members are very involved. So we had a lot of our members on the call that evening, and they said, yeah, this looks like this will work. And so after that, we decided to close the studio, and we just got emails out to people and told them, we'll be emailing you daily about our class schedule until we kind of get our feet under us and see how this actually goes. And so now we have a complete class schedule out, but the first couple of days we're definitely like, okay, who's going to teach when and who's going to help out with what,
Sure, trying to
and
figure
figured
out.
out a system that kind of works. Yeah. So we, and so then we decided, like after the weekend of trying it out, the best way that it worked for us was to have 3 people on a team. So we had a teacher who's teaching the class, somebody that demos the class so that they're like in the spotlight the whole time and you can see them. And then one person as our tech lead. So just in case anything goes crazy with Zoom, because sometimes that happens, or if someone's internet or Wi-Fi drops out, that someone can step in and kind of pick up the slack. And luckily I have a pretty big team. We have like 17 teachers on our team, so that's very helpful. And they've just been, they've just really risen to the occasion, and I think that that's kind of what it takes as a leader, is that when you make a decision, if you really embody that decision and say, okay, we're doing this, your team's going to follow you then, and then step in line with you.
Yeah, that's so wise that you say that about leadership, that you are making the decision, and you've made that decision with considering all the people that it's going to impact, including your team that's working with you.
Yeah.
So what opportunities does it bring for you that maybe you weren't seeing before or taking advantage of before? What new perspectives?
Yeah, so we get to touch so many more people now, actually. So like I said, my studio only holds 30 people, but one of these Zoom calls, the Zoom level that we paid for, we could fit 100 people into a call. We haven't quite had that many. We've probably had at most like 45 people in the class, but still it's pretty great to touch more people. And then the other thing is my whole staff isn't really from California. They're from all over the place. So now we have this opportunity to really be with other people that don't live in this area and get the honor of going into their homes and help them, with this stressful time. Because it is really stressful. Like, we just don't know what's going to come. And so we're able to come into their homes and really help them, deal with their anxiety through movement and breathing, which is really what we preach anyways, even before this. Like, movement and breathing is what's going to help you get through really difficult times.
That's so true. And it also is helping bring a little piece of normal to them so that they can feel like they're connecting to something normal in their daily routine.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So yeah, I would say it's a really big opportunity for us because our teachers love our studio and they really wish that more people that they knew could practice with us. And so now we really get that opportunity to have a different kind of revenue stream um, coming in at this time, which is amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know, have you had time to think ahead to when life adjusts to new normal, how you're going to carry this through?
Yeah, so we've actually started researching some online platforms, or if we're going to possibly hire a web designer to help us get our website up and running to support something like this. Because right now there's still some things that I'm doing that are very manual based and not quite automated. So we're looking for ways to make it a little bit more automated. Like for example, when we do like a unique link for every class that we do for Zoom, because we just want to have the safety of our people and also not like have random people that we don't know in the class. Just I've heard some crazy stories on Zoom so far with what's going on right now. So we're just trying to be really cognizant of that. But I have to manually send everyone the email for each class right now because there's not a way that our system that we have is like completely integrated with that. So yeah, so we're exploring what it might look like to have like a web designer help us build out like a back end type of thing for that. Or if we'll go with a different online platform that's already set up. So yeah, so we're definitely looking into the future for that because I do think that this is something that we will want to continue. Our members are very happy with it. And we've had some people purchase memberships again that don't live near us and did practice with us before. And now they're excited that they can practice with us again and are asking us to continue this even after this is all over.
It's
Yeah.
exciting to see this coming out. So one of the things I really wanted to focus on today is how you're keeping an optimistic attitude to the outcome and keeping, you know, a vision of how you can come out of this stronger. So speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think for me, and I think first off, I think I've always just been someone that's generally optimistic, and maybe my husband sometimes likes to say sometimes it's a little naive because I'm always like, yeah, it's going to be great. It's always going to be great. Even though this is not great, like let's keep going. So I think that's part of my nature just in general. But to continue that, like I think to keeping my optimistic attitude is really just staying in connection with my people, like not only like the people that are paying customers, but my team. The more that I'm kind of grounded with them and creating that connection, even though we're not in person, keeps me upbeat because I know that I'm here not only to serve my customers, but my employees. Like I'm here to create a paycheck for them. And
Yeah,
so,
you're in business.
right, exactly. So just doing that, create any kind of time that I can create connection with other people, even things like this keeps me pretty positive. And I think the other thing too is that I'm very big on meditating, making sure I'm maintaining my yoga practice, even with the busyness of completely changing my business model in a very short time, like really staying with that has helped me grounded in like what's reality. I find that obviously I have moments of like sadness. I'm not like upbeat all the time, but when I'm having those moments, like actually letting myself feel those feelings and not just pushing it away also helps to maintain like that overall optimistic attitude about what's kind of going on right now.
What does that look like? Because for someone who doesn't know what it looks like, I mean, many of us grew up just resisting our our feelings and
Yeah.
not embracing them, and it's been something I've had to learn to do too. So, what does that look like for you when you sense that feeling come up? How do you actually lean into it and just feel it?
Yeah, so I think for me, so something that was really just hard for me right now is that we have this amazing babysitter for my son that comes like 3 days a week for half days. Not super long, but like enough time for me to do what I want to do for business, right? And she also helps us clean. So I don't have to do a lot of that. And I'm very fortunate to have that. And when we decided that she wasn't going to be able to come back, like that just was so hard for me. And it was hard for her to, like, luckily my husband and I are in a position that we were able to pay her, even though she can't come right now, because we're worried about her and want her to be okay during this time. But she left here like hysterically crying because she just like loves being here and loves being with my son. And so afterwards, I had to go teach a class afterwards. So I did have to table that sadness. But later that night, like I just put on like a sad movie and let myself sit in bed and cry for like a good hour, because it was sad. She's part of our family, and it's hard that she's not gonna be here during this difficult time. And my husband's working from home now, and he doesn't normally do that, so now we're having to juggle our schedules. And so definitely that sadness comes up. And so I just let myself like be there with the sadness, sit down and let myself cry. Or if I'm angry, what I've been doing is like taking my son out for a run. That really helps to diffuse that really like anger emotion and let myself experience it. Because there is definitely a fine line between like experiencing an emotion and dwelling in it, for sure. And I think it's just a practice though, and you have to kind of I think that's why I like meditating. And I think people overcomplicate it a lot, but really just like sitting and closing your eyes for 5 minutes and just checking in and saying, how do I feel? How do I feel over and over again, kind of helps to uncover how you actually feel, so that you can process the emotions in the way that's in a safe space for you. Because sometimes it's not safe to, be with our emotions wherever you might be, but I find that meditation is a great time to kind of process all of that too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would agree with that in my own life and my own meditation practice. I agree with that completely. And it really, what's impressed on me the last couple of days as I've thought about it, as people who have these tools in their life and have been practicing them already, I think we're using them, we're putting them to use, and still feeling a little bit of the stress going on. But I really have a lot of compassion for the people who don't have all of those tools and resources that they hadn't been using in their life. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday where two ladies were having that exact conversation. And it's a great time for us to be reaching out to the people who are experiencing those pain points, because this time, I think it touches, we can go through life feeling like things are going great, and then all of a sudden something shifts and it uncovers everything in us that isn't great and touches those sore spots. So I think it's just such a great opportunity to reach new people, connect with new people, and to minister and serve to those who need that, and maybe are now for the first time realizing they need that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Well, Jackie, are there any other words that you'd like to share for any other business owner who's out there trying to figure out what to do next, or just words of encouragement in general?
Yeah, I think two things. One, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like we're in a global pandemic right now. So if you're feeling more down, that's okay. That's completely normal. That's what's going on right now. And so what I would say is, let yourself be with those things, and then go with your gut, right? Like sit with yourself and really see what you think is the right next move for you. Only you know. You can go listen to a lot of places that have advice like, oh, I've done this or I've done that. But only you know what's best for you. And so if you take time to really sit down and sit with yourself and see what is best for this moment, you'll know, and then you just go into action then. And that's what I would say.
Awesome. Great words of wisdom. And if someone wants to check you out, your yoga studio out, can they find you online somewhere?
Yeah, so you can find us in a couple places. So it's just brightheartyogastudio.com, and you can go and check out our schedule there if you want to come and hang out with us. Otherwise, we have a whole Instagram. We trying to post some funny things right now and keep people keep people upbeat. So yeah, so you can find us in either of those places.
Perfect. And what's your Instagram? Is it also
Yeah, it's
Bright?
also Bright Heart Yoga Studio.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Vicki.
Thank you for being here with me today to listen to Jackie's story. And I hope it's inspired you on how you can keep moving forward during this time. I'm life and business coach Vicki Haddock with Transcending Limits. And my mission is to inspire others and then really to help you connect with your own inner guidance system, heal the hurts that hold you back so that you can fulfill your authentic life purpose in life and business. So you can find me at www.tslimits.com or over on Facebook at Transcending Limits and also on Instagram at Transcending Limits. So thanks for being here today.